The evening had started in the most ordinary way. With the two of us at home, the soft patter of rain against the windows filling the quiet. I had wrapped myself in a blanket on the sofa, while Adrian sat across from me with a book resting loosely in his hands. The fire in the corner gave off a warm glow, and the faint scent of tea drifted through the air. I hadn't expected anything unusual that night, nothing more than the comfort of routine and shared silence. But then Adrian looked at me, his eyes steady, and in a tone so simple yet so full of meaning he said, "You know, you're exactly my type." At first I thought he was teasing. My instinct was to laugh, to dismiss it as one of his playful remarks, but the sincerity in his voice stopped me. His gaze held mine, soft but unwavering, and I realized he wasn't making a casual comment. He meant it. Those words, as small as they seemed, struck something deep in me. I carried them with me even after the fire burned low and the night slipped into silence. He hadn't just complimented me. He had confessed something that sounded less like admiration, and more like a truth he had been holding quietly in his heart. It made me curious in a way I hadn't been before. I wanted to understand what it meant to be someone's type. Was it about how I looked, how I acted, how I loved? The weight in his voice told me it was all of those things and more. That night I lay awake replaying his words, wondering about the hidden layers in them. And I began to think back to where it all began. To the first time our paths had crossed, when I didn't yet know how much he would change my life. We had met years before in the most unremarkable of places, a bookstore on a busy corner squeezed between two cafes. I had gone there for the comfort of wandering aisles filled with stories, for the quiet escape that reading always gave me. He appeared beside me unexpectedly, reaching for the very same book my fingers had just brushed. We both froze for a second, then laughed awkwardly at the coincidence. He told me to take it, insisting it would suit me better, but I insisted right back that he should keep it. Eventually we agreed to each choose a book for the other, a strange but oddly exciting compromise. That small exchange led to coffee, and coffee led to hours of talking, and soon I realized that something had started between us that neither of us wanted to end. From the very beginning, Adrian had a way of making me feel noticed. He remembered details, my favorite author, the way I liked my tea, the songs that could make me smile even on the worst days. Yet he never mentioned anything about type. He never gave me the impression that he had been searching for someone who fit a checklist or a mold. That was why, when he said it years later, it felt so striking, so deeply personal. I asked him what he meant, my voice quiet with both curiosity and hope. He leaned back in his chair and looked at me with that steady gaze that always made me feel safe. "It means you're everything I ever hoped I'd find in a partner," he said. "Not just how you look, though I think you're beautiful in every way. It's the way you laugh at my terrible jokes, the way you care for people, the way you see the world with hope even when things aren't easy. You're the person I didn't even realize I was waiting for until I met you." Those words sank into me, warming me in a way I hadn't expected. It wasn't about chance or convenience, it was about choice. He had chosen me because something in me matched something in him, not just in the surface sense but in the deepest places of who we were. After that night, I began noticing the little ways he proved it without needing to say the words again. Adrian was never one for grand gestures. His love lived in the details, in the everyday consistency of his care. He left sticky notes on the fridge reminding me not to forget my scarf when it was cold. He brought home wildflowers, not the expensive kind but ones he picked because they made him think of me. When I worked late, he placed tea quietly on my desk, never interrupting, just letting me know I wasn't alone. Every small action carried the same message. I was his perfect type, the one he had chosen in both word and deed. But love, even when it is steady, faces its tests. A year into our marriage, I received a job offer that had the power to change everything. It was the kind of opportunity one had dreamed of for years, the sort that could shape my career, but it required moving to another city, leaving behind the comfort of our town, his work, and the life we had built there. I was terrified to tell him, afraid that choosing my dream might mean hurting the man who had given me so much. When I finally told him, my hands trembling around the coffee mug I held, he listened quietly. I explained the offer, the move, the uncertainty, expecting him to be hesitant or disappointed. But when I finished, he reached across the table, took my hand in his and said with quiet certainty, "You have to take it." I stared at him, stunned. "But what about you? Your work, your life here?" He smiled softly. "You're my life. And if this is what you've been working for, then we'll make it work. You being happy, you following your dreams, that's part of what makes you my perfect type. I wouldn't want you to be anyone else." I could have cried then, overwhelmed by the depth of his love. It wasn't just about supporting me, it was about believing in me, about seeing my happiness as intertwined with his own. In that moment, I understood love in its truest form. It was not sacrifice or compromise alone. It was partnership, the willingness to lift each other up even when the path ahead looked uncertain. We moved and it wasn't easy. There were long commutes, stressful days, and nights when I questioned whether we had made the right choice. But Adrian never faltered. He turned our small apartment into a home with his patience and laughter. He learned the city streets so I wouldn't feel lost. And every time I caught him watching me from across the room, a soft smile tugging at his lips, I knew he didn't regret a thing. When I asked what he was thinking, he would always answer the same. Just reminding myself how lucky I am. Years passed, and life unfolded in all its unpredictable ways. We faced heartache together, his father's passing, the challenges of trying to start a family, the disappointments that came when plans didn't work out as we had hoped. But we also shared countless joys, quiet vacations, spontaneous adventures, and the simple beauty of evenings spent side by side. Through it all, I carried those words with me. "You're exactly my type." One evening, much later, we sat on the porch watching the sun melt into the horizon. The air was warm and the world felt unusually still. I turned to him with a playful smile and asked. He looked at me then with the same unwavering warmth he had all those years ago. "More than ever," he said. "Because it isn't just about who you were when I met you. It's about who you are now, who you've become, and how we've grown together. The person who makes me better just by being here." My throat tightened with emotion, and I leaned my head against his shoulder, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. In that quiet moment I understood that those words were more than a confession. They were a promise. A vow that no matter how much we changed, no matter what life threw at us, he would always see me as the person he had been searching for, the one he would choose again and again.